Even nearly 3 decades after her untimely death in 1997, Princess Diana remains a timeless beacon of style, grace, and quiet rebellion. Born on July 1, 1961, her legacy continues to captivate the world, not only because of her humanitarian efforts and royal life but also because of her profound impact on fashion. Diana wasn't just a royal, she was a global style icon who used clothing to convey strength, vulnerability, independence, and even resistance. Her fashion journey mirrored her personal evolution, from shy nursery school assistant to the people's princess, whose wardrobe spoke volumes and continues to influence designers, celebrities, and everyday admirers alike. In her early years, Diana's style reflected her sheltered aristocratic upbringing. She wore demure, frilly blouses, high necklines, and voluminous skirts, often in pastel tones and floral prints. At just 19, she was thrust into the global spotlight when she became engaged to Prince Charles. Almost overnight, she was expected to fit the mold of a royal, poised, conservative, and graceful. Her engagement wardrobe consisted of looks that met those expectations, including her iconic blue engagement suit from Harrods that was elegant but safe. However, the subtle sparkle in her eye and her natural poise suggested that Diana's style story was only beginning. By the time she walked down the aisle in July 1981 in a fairy tale wedding watched by millions, Diana had already begun rewriting what royal fashion could be. Her dramatic wedding gown, an ivory taffeta dress with a 25-foot train designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, was emblematic of 1980s excess, but also of Diana's intent to make a lasting impression. With its intricate lace, puffed sleeves, and antique lace that once belonged to Queen Mary, the dress blended tradition with theatricality. It was grand, regal, and unforgettable. Throughout the 1980s, Diana's style matured along with her public persona. She embraced bold colors, daring shoulder pads, and designer labels, becoming a muse to designers such as Catherine Walker, Bruce Oldfield, and Versace. Her fashion choices started to feel deliberate and personalized. She wasn't merely wearing what was handed to her, she was curating her identity. Her lookbook from this era included the famous sapphire blue gown she wore to dance with John Travolta at the White House, a look that effortlessly blended Hollywood glamour with royal polish. She often wore suits and coats with strong silhouettes that empowered her physically and symbolically. As Diana became more confident in her public life, her fashion reflected a growing autonomy and sophistication. But Diana was more than just a trendsetter. She used fashion as a form of communication, often in subtle but striking ways. One of the most powerful examples came in 1994, when Charles publicly admitted to his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. That very evening, Diana attended a public event in what is now known as the Revenge Dress, a daring, form-fitting black silk number by Greek designer Christina Stambolian. With its off-the-shoulder neckline and asymmetrical hem, the dress was defiant and triumphant, a silent yet deafening statement of self-worth and independence. In that moment, Diana wasn't just dressing up, she was reclaiming her narrative, and the world took notice. Throughout her life, Diana redefined royal dress codes. Where protocol encouraged gloves, she often ditched them so she could better connect with the people she touched, literally and figuratively. In hospital visits, she chose colorful, approachable clothing that softened her image and made her appear more maternal and comforting. When visiting AIDS patients during a time when fear and misinformation about the disease were rampant, she chose outfits that were simple and dignified, often skipping gloves to emphasize compassion and understanding. In these moments, her clothing choices weren't fashion statements, they were political and humanitarian ones. As Diana entered the 1990s, her style entered its most iconic phase. Freed from the constraints of royal protocol following her separation and eventual divorce from Prince Charles, her wardrobe became a reflection of her inner liberation. She gravitated toward sleeker, more modern silhouettes, often favoring body-hugging dresses, crisp white shirts, and well-tailored blazers. She wore less jewelry, less fuss, and instead embraced an understated elegance that felt both attainable and aspirational. Off-duty, she redefined casual chic. Her signature looks, bike shorts with oversized sweatshirts, baseball caps, chunky sneakers, are now staples in today's streetwear-inspired fashion scene, a testament to how ahead of her time she truly was. One of the most enduring aspects of Diana's fashion legacy is her authenticity. Unlike many public figures who rely heavily on stylists, Diana had a deeply personal connection to her wardrobe. She often worked closely with British designers and had a clear sense of what looked good on her and what message she wanted to send. She didn't shy away from risks, whether it was pairing tiaras with trendy gowns or mixing high and low fashion. Her looks were often meticulously planned but never felt contrived. That balance of accessibility and aspirational glamour is what makes her style so timeless. Her post-divorce fashion renaissance was punctuated by minimalist dresses, monochromatic power suits, and glamorous evening gowns that exuded freedom and self-possession. She often wore Dior, Chanel, and Versace during this time, signaling her international fashion sensibility and distancing herself from the more traditional British royal aesthetic. In fact, her affinity for Versace in particular highlighted her transformation from princess to modern icon, elegant, worldly, and unbound by tradition. Even today, her influence remains omnipresent. Modern royals like Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton often channel Diana in subtle ways, from their color choices to their silhouettes and even their choice of accessories. Designers regularly cite her as a source of inspiration in runway collections. Instagram is filled with tribute accounts dedicated to cataloging her best looks, and Gen Z fashionistas are rediscovering her casual style in vintage photos. She has even been the subject of countless films and TV shows, with costume designers often using her fashion evolution to chart her emotional and psychological journey. But more than just influencing clothing, Diana changed the way the world saw fashion itself. She proved that clothing could be more than fabric. It could be armor, a message, a bridge, and a mirror. She brought humanity to royalty and glamour to everyday life. Her wardrobe told stories of love, heartbreak, rebellion, motherhood, growth, and above all, resilience. Princess Diana would have turned 64 this year, but her fashion legacy feels ageless. It lives on not just in curated museum exhibits or fashion retrospectives, but in everyday choices made by people who saw a part of themselves in her vulnerability and strength. Her style wasn't just about what she wore, it was about who she was and what she represented. In a world that's often captivated by trends, Diana's style endures as a reminder that authenticity, grace, and courage never go out of fashion.